Thank you for joining us here tonight on NTV's Grow. It was a big week as far as elections are concerned. Find out what it means with the results and how it could impact agriculture. Also, we talked to producers from all across the state and get the feel of how harvest progressed and some of the results. Also, a big report when it comes to U.S. ag exports. We'll give you the latest details. And producers, you might be wondering, should you sell right now with the prices the way they are for corn, soybeans? We've got some advice coming your way. It's all tonight on NTV's Grow. Thank you so much for joining us. First, we're going to begin with the elections. Big results, and they could have a big impact on agriculture. Here's NTV's Steve White.
The American people are sending a new majority to Washington tonight.
Talk like that has made Ben Sasse a rising star. And with Republicans taking control of the U.S. Senate, Sasse supporters think Nebraska's new senator could be a big player.
We believe that he's going to be a great senator and will add to the great team that we have in the Senate with Deb Fischer.
For only the second time in Nebraska Farm Bureau history, the organization made an endorsement in a primary when Sasse was relatively unknown.
We knew that that's what our members wanted to do, so it was really easy to come out, even though it was a close race with lots of good contenders, good candidates in the primary.
Farm Bureau and the Nebraska cattlemen say there's growing concern from farmers who feel the government has too much say in their operations, pointing to proposed clean water rules.
For the next generations, the kids, the grandkids, for what could happen to their production going forward is extremely threatening. This is the biggest land grab in the history of our country by the federal government.
Senate Republicans recently asked the EPA to withdraw the proposal.
We're going to see a change in January in the United States Senate.
Republicans will be the majority party, and Ben Sasse could play a big role nationally. At least his farm supporters believe he will.
Well, that's certainly my sense of it. And as I visited with Senator Sasse now over the last year or so, it's really become very clear to me that he does have that potential to really do a lot of great things.
Just at a time when many farmers are just hoping to break even, when it comes to the political landscape, the shakeup could actually impact property taxes. That relief could be coming as Governor-elect Pete Ricketts has consistently said property taxes on farmland are too high. Land values have skyrocketed in recent years, but corn prices are slumping. Many farmers just hope to break even. Ricketts wants farmland to be valued lower than calculating property taxes, and incoming lawmakers say that's a start, but the real problem lies deeper.
Reducing the percentage of valuation for tax purposes to me is a short-term Band-Aid fix. In the long run, we need to address basically school funding. That's the issue that is the 800-pound gorilla, you might say. And we're going to have to address that issue in order for long-term solution to property taxes.
Friesen is a corn grower himself and has been elected to serve in the legislature for the area that includes Aurora and Central City. The Nebraska landscape seems to change after harvest season, leveling off those fields. And harvest season winding down for many. Some are actually done. And as far as yields are concerned, it really depends on where you're standing in the state. We talked to several producers from all across the state of Nebraska and hear what they have to say. We're going to start in Albion, where progress is still being made out in those Nebraska fields.
We are done with beans, working on corn. It's coming out of the fields really well. It took a little while to dry down.
The weather a big impact this harvest season.
Around us there was some hail damage, so they did have some reduced yields there and also an early freeze. And that did definitely hurt some of the yields, but overall good yields.
And the combines are still making tracks in the Johnson Lake area.
The soybeans came out really well, but we had a horrible time with our corn drying down this year, and we actually just got rolling really well this last week.
Good progress being made in the Callaway area.
It's going good. Good weather. Everything's worked out great. Just got to spend a little money on drying corn down. Yields have been average. Nothing amazing. Nothing horrible.
Also, average yields being reported in the Mitchell area as they wrapped up just this last week.
It was good. It was probably maybe a little above average crop, not the bin buster we were expecting.
Also finishing up about a week ago in the Culbertson area, weather there really helped get the crops out of the field.
It's gone real well. We've had some very pleasant weather that cooperated with us. Our yields are pretty darn good, and our water usage has been down.
Also appreciating the fall weather in Hildreth, just finishing up.
How was the whole season for you?
We had a really good fall harvest season, been dry, not too bad of winds.
Still a few days left in the Ainsworth area.
I think it's been great. It hasn't probably been quite as good as a lot of people were maybe expecting, through the summer.
Now, while watching what's flowing into the bin, farmers are also keeping an eye out on those market numbers.
Obviously, the prices probably haven't been as good as a lot of people were hoping.
North of Gothenburg, they're still harvesting away.
We should be done finishing up by the end of the week. We have a little Frito corn left and a little bit of stuff to still put in the bin.
Moving over to Blue Hill, many have wrapped up harvest there, but storm damage really took a toll on many fields.
Yeah, we lost a few pivots, but overall we were happy with the yields this year.
And like many farmers, they just pick up and carry on.
So now we're moving on to all the fall field work and getting ready for next year's crop.
As far as a look at harvest totals from across the state, the official numbers from the USDA, we'll start with Nebraska soybean harvest, about 95% complete. Corn harvest still trailed the average as of last Sunday, sitting at 60% complete. The state sorghum harvest was 71% complete. 96% of winter wheat emerged. In Kansas, farmers also busy bringing in fall crops during this past week. About 86% of the corn crop harvested, 72% of soybeans cut, and sunflower harvest is 43% complete. Winter wheat planting nearly finished. As of last Monday, the USDA reports 93% of wheat planted and 82% emerged. U.S. ag exports setting a record number, $152.5 billion. That's up from last year's $141 billion. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack said agriculture exports have climbed 41% in value over the past 5 years. This demonstrates an increasingly global appetite for high-quality American-grown products. And the USDA chief economist, he has more information about these export totals.
Corn rebounded dramatically, almost double the amount that we exported in 2013 in terms of value, and we exported in 2014. A lot of that was the huge increase in volume, and again, if we look at the corn 2012-13 marketing year for corn, which is slightly different than the fiscal year that we're talking about here, but the marketing year, we know that was one of the lowest levels since the early 1970s. Due to the drought, we had very little exports. In fact, we were the number 2 exporter in the world. Well, this last year, with the big crop that we had last year, our exports rebounded, and again, this shows that just looking at the values, we're up almost 99% over last year at $11.1 billion.
And Ag Secretary Vilsack said that more needs to continue to be done to keep those export levels high. He says the efforts made in Rural America Initiative will continue to focus on investments in rural business, manufacturing, energy, water, and other infrastructure. Those efforts help to expand export opportunities for what is grown and made in rural America, create jobs, and foster growth that strengthens our nation's economy. The public is getting a chance to learn a little bit more about a multi-million-dollar project that's set to change the flows of the Platte River. NTV's Megan Johnson brings you this story.
Maps, diagrams, and pictures show how CNPPID uses water to generate electricity right now.
This is the second power plant in a row below Johnson Lake. So water goes through that hydropower plant coming from the lakes that are upstream of it. And then from there, the water normally will go back to the Platte River or into our irrigation canal.
That flow could change slightly as the district wants to build 2 regulating reservoirs downstream. Berm-like dams would basically make a place to hold the water. Then it can be let out at a different pace than it comes out of the hydro plant.
By using the clays on site, basically picking them up, moving them, and placing them in layers, you make what's called a compacted clay liner, and that keeps the water in the reservoirs.
Central officials say it will help them generate power more efficiently and benefit wildlife, which means the state, local NRDs, and the Platte River Recovery Program would foot most of the $75 million cost.
They've entered into an agreement with us where we will regulate the river for their benefit, and that will cover at least 95% of the cost of building this.
It will take around 1,100 acres of mostly private land to do the project, and CNPPID is just starting talks with property owners.
While we know that the project is worthwhile and makes sense, it doesn't change that that's difficult for them, and we need to always keep that in mind. We can't decide just not to build the project, I don't think, but we can always at least make sure that we're treating them fairly while we're going through this process.
This project is a long way from reality. They say construction could start in 2017. If you want more information, go to our website, nebraska.tv. Just click on NTV's Grow. Nebraska's youth get a chance to shine through FFA, and one student from McCook is doing just that. Nick Cole is a national finalist for the FFA Proficiency Award in Agricultural Services, Entrepreneurship Placement. He competed at the National FFA Convention in Kentucky. Nick works in a partnership with his two brothers in a barbed wire and electric fence building business. And a Nebraska project to help conserve water, it received recognition as well. The USDA recently honored the University of Nebraska-Lincoln for the Ag Water Management Network. It's a group of farmers, natural resource districts, crop consultants, and more. It was formed in 2005 and is focused on conserving water on roughly 1.7 million irrigated acres in the state. That kind of collaboration caught the attention of the USDA. The network has grown from 15 farmers to more than 1,100. It's estimated they have saved more than 1 million acre-feet of water in that time and saved more than $50 million. A local farmer heading to the state capitol will feature them in your Farm Family of the Month. Also, producers out there, you may be wondering, should I sell with the prices the way they are? We'll have some advice from an expert coming up after the break.